shaking my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay, and today we are here for the September TBR. And to do the September TBR, we have to talk about how did I do in the month of August. And the answer is I failed my TBR in the month of August. I got into a reading slump and did not read as much as I wanted to, and I'm hoping to start over fresh in the month of September. So last month I did not read any books out of my owned jar that I picked in my TBR video. So for punishment, I will have to read 2 books out of my owned jar, and I'm going to allow myself to pick 2 books out of either the 4 I chose last month or the 4 I chose this month. So that will give me 2 choices out of 8 total choices. So I feel like that will get me more motivated to read these books. If you don't know what I do, I pull 4 books out of different categories of jars and hold myself accountable for reading 1 book per jar that I pick. I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to hop right into it. I am in the path of the hurricane, and so I am filming this the night before the hurricane hits, and so I'm hoping to get some really good books, and I'm praying for everybody in the path of this hurricane as well. We're going to go ahead and start with our new releases jar. I put, of course, all the new releases that I'm looking for in the month of September in this jar as well. I added it too. I always like at the end of the month where I can throw pieces of paper away, but then I add so many. So, okay, this is pick number 1 is Love to See It. It's Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wang. Now, I have not read Sword of Kaigen yet, but I have the special edition on its way to me. It hasn't made it here yet. Okay, this is 2. Okay, this is a new release for the month of September. This is the Navigating Fox. Okay, this is going to be, I don't know if you could see that, but it is Forged by Blood, which is an August release. And 1 more out of this jar. Here we go. Lucky number 4. And this is going to be the Bandit Queens. Of course, I always know which books came out in January because it never fails that I pick a January release out of these jars. Now we're going to move into my owned jar. The jar is getting full, my friends. It is getting full. So pick number 1. All right, Mr. A.R. with them. The Legend of Blackjack. Pull number 2. Okay. I have pulled this one before. This is the Foxglove King by Hannah Witten. Number 3. I pulled 2. Put 1 down. This is The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. Sci-fi. And number 4 out of the owned jar, here it is going to be, a throwback that I've never read, and that's going to be Aragon. I cannot believe it. More dragon books. Now we have our indie self-pub jar. This jar is getting so full, y'all. There's so many indie books that I want to read. So let's go ahead and get started with picking. Okay, number 1. Let's see. Okay, The Gardens of Ash. I believe this one is by Sarah Klein. 2. A lot of these are SPIFBO 9 reads. This is The Certainty of Blood. These came out of my first chapter reads. 3. The Bleeding Stone, which I think is by Joseph Lee, if my memory serves. And 4. This is, if you can see it, it's Steel Guardian, which I believe is a sci-fi. Okay, here we are. We are headed for the backlist bag, which the backlist bag is for quite full. It cannot fit in a jar. So we have a whole bag. So here we go. 1. Okay. This is One True Loves, and I think this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. 2. This is How You Lose the Time War, which I think is a sci-fi shorter read. And 3. We got some horror in here. The Twisted Ones, which I believe is by T. Kingfisher. And we're gonna go with number 4 here, which is a Mark of Kings, which I believe is self-published. Okay, so that is all the jar pulls. And of course, I will hold myself accountable with reading 1 sequel this month. I have no clue which one that is, but I will also have to read 1 sequel to a series. Now we can talk about what all these books are about and any other books that I have on the docket for this month. New releases jar. So the first one is that I want to talk about is Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Long. Like I said, so ready to read Sword of Kaigen after all the great things I've heard about it, and its special edition is on its way to me but has not arrived quite yet. But I'm also excited about this new release because I've heard nothing but good things. I think it came out in July, if I'm not mistaken. It has like school setting, possibly. The blurb, just a quick fun blurb about this, is it is a standalone folks, a dark academia brimming with mystery, tragedy, and the damning echoes of the past. That's all I need to know because I am in my dark academia era. Also, I keep saying I'm in every era, but I'm just so excited to read this genre of book, and I think it's going to be good because I've heard some excellent things about it. I also love the cover. Next, we have The Bandit Queens by Perini Shroff. This came out in January, I do believe, and it says, Greta's no good husband disappeared 5 years ago. She didn't kill him, but everyone thinks she did, no matter how much she protests. But she soon discovers that being known as a self-made widow has some surprising perks. No one messes with her, no one threatens her, and no one tries to control, marry her. It's even being good for her business. No one wants to risk getting on her bad side by not buying her jewelry. Freedom must look good on Greta because other women in the village have started asking for her help to get rid of their own no-good husbands. But not all of them are asking nicely. Now that Greta's fearsome reputation has become a double-edged sword, she must decide how far to go to protect it along with the life that she has built. So very, very intriguing on that one. Next we have The Navigating Fox, which is coming out in September. And this is by Christopher Rowe. So here's what we know about that. Quintus is the world's only navigating fox. He's also in disgrace after leading an expedition to its doom a year earlier with dozens of lives lost. Now Quintus has a chance to redeem himself by leading a brand new expedition to the gates of hell. In return, he is promised the eventual truth of his origins and his solitary existence. Those who will accompany Quintus are the holy priest Scipio Amelanus, scholar Octavia Delphina, whose sister was lost in the first expedition, the twin raccoon cartographers Loki and Foki, and the powerful bison ambassador Walks Along Women. As the journey grows more perilous and the agendas of its members more sinister, Quintus must make an impossible choice between obtaining the secret of his creation or sacrificing that possibility forever in order to seize his destiny. I think Tor is publishing this, and it sounds like kind of it's going to be some found family aspect of it and some very, very quirky characters, which I'm into. And then we have Forged by Blood, which came out in the month of August, and this is a stunning Fairy Loot edition that I recently got via my mailbox. So let's read what this says. A tale of rebellion and redemption, love and lies, epic fantasy at its finest, richly steeped in Nigerian mythology. I've never read a fantasy steeped in Nigerian mythology, so I am all for that. That's all I need to know regarding that one. Let's go ahead and move into my owned books. First of all, we have The Legend of Blackjack by A.R. Witham. I own this on audio book, and this is also a Spiff by 9 contestant, and I'm looking forward to reading it. They say he was an outsider, a man with no home, no family, no friend to call his own, the man with nothing left to love, the empty man. They say he talked to animals, they say he traveled between worlds, they say he killed a god, and they may be right. He prowled the border between light and dark. He beat the devil himself with a walking stick. He healed 1,000 people in a single day and killed a dragon the same midnight. They say there was a woman. They say he died for her. No one knows the truth. Those are the legends about him. If you want to know the truth, I will tell you. This is a book story that whisks you away from your everyday world to an unbelievable journey with unexpected action and unforgettable characters. So, love to see it. Love to see it. Next, we have this lovely beat-up copy of Aragon. I have never, ever read Aragon, but I feel like it's like the original dragon fantasy, even though it's not. But One Boy, One Dragon, A World of Adventure. Let me just read the last sentence. It says, can Aragon take up the mantle of the legendary dragon riders? The fate of the empire may rest in his hands. So I'm excited to dive in to a childhood classic that I've never read. We also pulled The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keeffe. I have never read anything by Megan O'Keeffe. This book actually came out, I think, in May, and then the sequel is also coming out this year, maybe September, maybe September. I don't know, either September or October. So this is stranded on a dead planet, forced to ally with her mortal enemy. Survival is the only option in the first book of the stunning widescreen space opera trilogy. So that's all I need to know. It sounds like it's going to be like, is this a love story? I don't know. Enemies to lovers, who knows? Then, of course, we pulled The Foxglove King, which is another Fairy Loot edition I own by Hannah Witten. I have read the wolf one that she read. I wasn't the biggest fan, but this may be better suited for me. This is a romantic epic fantasy that follows a poison runner who is thrust into a world full of court intrigue, forbidden romance, and death magic. That's like all that we need to know right there. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the indie self-pub world with The Bleeding Stone by Joseph John Lee. The island nation of Faranda is the jewel of the Acrarian kingdom, and its founder, Aritz Amata, is revered as a god amongst men. But 25 years ago, Aritz was merely a man, a colonizer and invader seeking glory and fame in the name of his king and queen, and Faranda was a nameless union of indigenous tribes. In the unconquered north, the Stone Tribe has for 15 years offered a safe haven for the southern tribes displaced by Aritz's invaders, whose occupying march north has been ostensibly halted by the dense forest barrier dividing north and south. Among the Stone people lives Sin, an outcast for the circumstances of her birth, preserved in society only by her status as daughter of her tribe's chief. Forever relegated to the fringes of society, she is forced to watch as countless of her kin, including her sister and brother, complete their rites of passage into adulthood and accordingly earn their aptitudes by the deity to whom they share an affinity, the bear, the wolf, or the owl. Despite this, Sin finds comfort in her life of forced solitude and her close inner circle, but hers is a comfort in days of waning, tenuous peace. When Aritz's technologically advanced forces push north, Sin is thrust into a singular quest to rescue one of her precious few captured in the ensuing struggle. While her goal is earnest, save someone dear to her and prove her worth to her tribe, her people's goal is far more dire: survival in the face of uncertainty. So I really like the first chapter of this that I read in my Spiffbo First Chapter Reads, so I'm happy to be reading this. Next is The Gardens of Ash by Sarah Klein, also in Spiffbo, and it seems like it's very like there's portals that open up and from different worlds. I don't know, but that's what I remember from when I was reading the first chapter of this book. Excited to read it. The next one is going to be Steel Guardian by Cameron Coral, and this is a sci-fi, but I may get into some more sci-fi, and this came in second place in SPSFC one year. I think it was not this year but last year. A timid robot protects an abandoned baby in a post-apocalyptic world. A robot protecting an abandoned baby, post-apocalyptic. Yes, please. And then the next one is another Spiffbo 9 first chapter read that I read, and that is going to be The Certainty of Blood by Tim Fregovich, who does not love this cover. Nothing is certain under the moon's gaze save blood. When Alden discovers the power to burn someone's blood, he is taken from his family, branded, and sold into slavery as an fighter. A painful life and an early death are all he can expect until he listens to a supernatural voice coming from his own blood. Taking her advice, he uses his power to become the greatest arena fighter of his age, fighting year after year with one goal in mind. If he can purchase his own freedom, maybe a normal life with the woman he loves is possible. And now he needs to win only one more fight against a rebel leader who people are calling the Chosen One. So that sounds really exciting to me. It was one of the couple of arena fighting novels that I read that were part of Spiffbo 9. And I enjoyed the writing style. Now, to move into my backlist, it's going to be One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is more of her romance style. Now, I have read her historical fiction novels, some of them, and enjoyed those to some extent. And this is going to be a love story. Basically declared dead, and I think she's going to move on with her life. Her husband that was declared dead is going to come back, and she's going to have to make a decision. And that's all we need to know. But it sounds very heartbreaking. Then we have The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher, which is, I think, a horror. I read my first T. Kingfisher earlier this year, and I'm wanting to dive into some more. So when a young woman clears out her deceased grandmother's home in rural North Carolina, she finds long hidden secrets about a strange colony of beings in the woods. When Mouse's dad asks her to clean out her dead grandmother's house, she says yes. After all, how bad could it be? Answer, pretty bad. Grandma was a hoarder, and her house is stuffed with useless rubbish. That would be horrific enough, but there's more. Mouse stumbles across her step-grandfather's journal, which at first seems to be filled with nonsensical rants, until Mouse encounters some of the terrifying things he described for herself. Alone in the woods with her dog, Mouse finds herself face-to-face with a series of impossible terrors, because sometimes the things that go bump in the night are real, and they're looking for you. So, yes, please sign me up. This is How You Lose the Time War, a short one. We know Let's Get That In by Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. If I get into a rut, I can be like, oh, let me pick up this short read. I think it's supposed to be a sci-fi kind of romance novel. I'm not quite sure, but I know that some people find that it's very confusing and some people love it. Among the ashes of a dying world, an agent of the commandment finds a letter. It reads, "Burn before reading." Thus begins an unlikely correspondence between two rival agents hell-bent on securing the best possible future for their warring factions. And then lastly, we have A Mark of Kings, which is an indie published book by Bryce O'Connor. I'm not sure who recommended this to me. Maybe it came in I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But despite his youth, Declan Idris knows of the evils of the world. He knows of the bastards and brigands who plague the king's lands, of the monsters skulking in the wooded depths of the realm. Together with his companion Ren, a horse of rather peculiar talent, he has spent the last decade of his life beneath the bloody banners of a half-dozen mercenary guilds, hunting precisely just such festering wickedness within the borders of Viridian. Unfortunately, fate is quick to pull on the leash of its favorite children. When one particularly troubling contract goes sideways, Declan and Ren find themselves thrust into a war without legend and long ended, a conflict so old it is synonymous with the time in which dragons still ruled the western skies. So, it sounds like some evil is going to be rising up and we're going to have to fight against it. So that's what I pulled out of my jars and I'm excited. As far as sequels, I don't know. I still need to read Lightbringer, but am I in that headspace to read Lightbringer yet by Pierce Brown? I really don't know. I need to continue on in Dresden. I need to read the next Robin Hobb book. I also need to read the next Rob de Hayes. I can't remember what that series is called, but I need to read that too. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen this month, but I will tell you a book that is also on my radar if I get to it in the month of September. Lovely, lovely author Jay Tosqua sent me this gorgeous copy of his book for review, and so I am very much hoping to get to this in the month of September. This was also a Swift09 contestant. I will just read some of this. It says, "Oathbreaker, eternal walker, thrall to the house of heart's vermin. To break oath is to be doomed, even beyond death, to walk this land as a blight upon it." And it says on here, it's a tale of high fantasy adventure for all those who have yearned for love and felt the heartbreak of its loss. It is for the hopeful, broken-hearted, and the broken, hopeful-hearted all. So it sounds like it's going to be it pulls at my heartstrings, which I tend to love novels like that. So I am very excited. This is a gorgeous cover. I know you can't see it. It's kind of shiny, but this is a gorgeous cover and I can't also wait to read it. So if I can fit it in this month, I certainly will. And that's going to be it for my very long September TBR. So stay tuned. I'm hoping that, cross fingers, I complete all of this TBR. I cannot be more excited for the books that I have pulled out of the jars this month. Let me know what you guys are reading in the month of September, and I will check you guys later.